We're getting groovy on this Friday morning. Welcome into Studio D in McCain, Floor 3 for the SGA Weekly update every Friday on Wildcat 91.9. You belong. It is World College Radio Day. What a better day to listen to the radio, am I right? And it is October 3rd, 2025, officially spooky season. It's getting real all around the world, but today we are getting, not judicial today, we got judicial last week with a couple of guests, but today we're getting, we'll say pro tempore. We're getting pro tempore today. We're joined by Andrew Lee, the Speaker pro tempore of the K-State University Student Senate, and Christian Pena, College of Agriculture Senate Caucus Leader. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. I'm a little amped today. I just cracked up my energy drink. I'm ready to get excited. All right. It is Friday. You know, we've made it past the hump day. We've made it past Thursday. It's almost time for the weekend. It's time to get excited. More K-State football tomorrow. You know, Waco, Texas. Right. Pretty fun. And it's World College Radio Day. And how lucky are we as three people to get to be on the radio in the midst of Taylor Swift dropping her album? Are we not the luckiest people?
Blessed,
right?
Honestly, there's no better way to describe that.
Exactly. Like our last two guests of the morning mix up would say that we are some of the luckiest people on earth right now to get to be on the radio at the same time Taylor Swift drops her album. Isn't that crazy? Anywho, let's get Senate with it. That's what we'll say. We'll get Senate with it. So, Andrew, I want to start with you. You work as the pro tempore of the Student Senate. Mm-hmm. Just go into a little bit of what is a pro tempore, and what is it that you do on the day-to-day?
Yeah, so, as a Speaker pro tempore, I serve alongside Speaker Evelyn Ediger, and so I'm elected separately by our peers to serve in that role, and basically what that means is, I serve in her capacity when she's absent. I oversee the legislative process, so certifying legislation, making sure that everything gets signed, copied, and filed correctly. I oversee the college caucus leader system, and so basically, what does that mean? I meet monthly with the college caucus leaders, kind of just checking base and ensuring how can I be more supportive of that. And I kind of see my role as more so of like fighting smaller fires and kind of facilitating the smaller things and making sure things go smoothly on a lower level so that Evelyn can oversee the bigger picture. And so I also oversee some of the treasurer duties as well. Since we used to have an SGA treasurer back in the day, got rid of it, and now I've consolidated to mine. So I sign off on all the allocations that we do and help oversee kind of some of those processes.
Yeah, okay. So essentially your job at its, I guess, most base level is making sure that small problems don't become big problems for the bigger things that are going on in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So give me an example of what that might be when it comes to putting out small fires.
Yeah. So when it comes to caucus leaders, when we meet regularly, they bring up issues that are relating to students, either issues internally within their college caucus or issues within the colleges. And so having those conversations and meeting with those folks, I think is what helps. It helps, be more proactive rather than reactive, and so I can, have further conversations, meet with more folks, and kind of just get a better view of what's going on and kind of address it early on, so that other folks don't have to worry about it down the line. Because the worst thing that would happen is those issues become a bigger issue in Student Senate as a whole, and then we have to address it there. And so it's about kind of those out of the office conversations and coffees that we can have rather than addressing it full on there.
So you live for being out of the office a little bit, keeping things kind of on the move. Literally, you're almost kind of blocking everything from hitting the Senate a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a noble act right there. That's noble. That's very important. Christian, I want to turn to you, the College of Agriculture Senate Caucus Leader. Go into what it is that you do on a day-to-day basis.
Day-to-day, it's probably not quite as much what Andrew was talking about, but, for us, our big thing is we really want to make sure that we're bridging the gap between SGA and the College of Agriculture students, making sure that they're staying up to date and informed on some of the latest and greatest from what we get to work on a weekly basis. The main thing for us right now is we're really trying to get students involved with what SGA is doing. And the other part of that is making sure that we can keep our students engaged. How can we continue to provide opportunities to them to make sure that they have the opportunity to grow to be strong, successful leaders, continue on throughout their careers, post-secondary education also. So how can we continue to make sure that they have the opportunity to really serve in a capacity and make sure that they can be the best version of themselves? For us right now, we're still collecting some information, but the hot topic in the College of Ag right now is we are currently looking at raising some of our fees to be able to combat some not necessarily combat problems, but to be able to make sure that students have access to opportunities that some other colleges get to their students. So how can we make sure that our students are, getting the same opportunities that other schools are, like OSU and KU? We want to make sure that we are, continuing to put out some of the best of the best. And so making sure that we can keep that in their hands and accessible. And throughout that time, we're also being able to work alongside some other caucus leaders too, to see how we can work together on some issues and be able to, the weekly meetings, like Andrew was talking about, they allow us for time to be able to really dive deep into some other issues and make sure that we can continue to work hard and, get things done.
Yeah, 100%. And I like what you said about wanting to make sure by raising fees that the College of Agriculture steps up and can compete and hang with some of the big dogs in the Big 12, Oklahoma State, KU. Because K-State, I mean, look at the crop judging numbers. For all intents and purposes, we are the big dogs, okay? But we got to stay on top, and that's very important. Now, Christian, you bridge the gap between SGA and the College of Agriculture. You are the intermediary between the two. How does the College of Agriculture or just different colleges around K-State interact with SGA from your perspective?
For us, and our big initiative right now has truly been meeting with some of our larger club organizations and student orgs within the College of Agriculture. That allows us to keep a large majority of students informed, and the more that we can push out to them, the more that they can continue to spread the word of what SGA is doing right now and how we're continuing to build that foundation for them. And that's really kind of where we're sitting at right now. We have started an Instagram page to try and continue to keep students, not just within the College of Ag, but as a whole, how can we continue to push what SGA looks like to make sure that students are being involved? How can we continue to amplify what the impact looks like for SGA as a whole?
100%. That's something that I think, through 3 weeks, everyone has kind of said the same thing of wanting to make sure that the SGA, the Student Governing Association, is actively representing the students, right? Mm-hmm. So, Andrew, I'll turn to you. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think something that really comes to mind a lot is I think we have a lot of these conversations about engagement, right? And it's, we're reaching students through social media, reaching students through, showing up to club meetings, going to different organizations, reaching out and chalking and all of that. But, I mean, there's still a large percentage of students that don't know what SGA is, that don't know when elections are, or if even during election time, that elections are ongoing, right? And so we kind of live in this bubble as an organization. And so someone once told me, it's like, well, how do we meet students where they are? How do we meet the students that don't view us or see us through traditional means of media? And so for me, in my mind, that's stuff like the Emerging Leaders Program that recruits the next generation of SGA leaders. That means actually purposefully showing up to different colleges, organizational meetings, showing up to classrooms and soliciting there, going to Greek houses and soliciting there. To me, all that encompasses, student engagement, and the more that we continue to do that, I think the more that we can bring back what SJ used to be back in the 80s and 90s when engagement used to be so much higher because they didn't have social media. Everyone had to read the newspaper, and SJ was what the prestige was there a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean 100%. And SGA, I don't think people realize how much they can give students a voice, and that's what we say every week. Is that students, you guys have an opportunity to get your voices heard in a lot of ways in big parts of changes around campus, right? That's why they're changing the campus, is because they want to make it more appealing to the students. But I want to go a little bit more into both of your roles. How do they interact with each other? How does a student senate caucus leader interact with the pro tempore and that relationship, I guess?
Yeah. You want to touch on that, or you want me to touch on that?
If you want to go ahead and
take it away, Andrew. Your time to shine.
In our governing documents, it is required that I oversee the college caucus leader system, and I think historically that has been underutilized in our organization. Every year, yes. Go
into a little bit what that system is.
Yeah, so the college caucus system is very ambiguous as to what that is, right? Basically means I make sure that every college has a caucus leader, and then I talk to them. But historically in the past, that hasn't really, the communication and coordination wasn't really there, and so college caucus, the title really didn't mean too much back then, right? You're just another senator. And so, as part of my campaign going into this position was, trying to reinvigorate what that means to be a caucus leader and to bring back a sense of like belonging in that role and responsibility. And so again, we have those standing meetings that we kind of sit down and talk, and I kind of see myself as a facilitator in those meetings. So I'm not really setting an agenda, but rather guiding a discussion and facilitating professional and personal development. So we did last couple of meetings, we've had like action goals and a kind of a framework as to, okay, what do you want to accomplish this year? What are our shared values, right? What are some common things that we want to accomplish this year? So we can set a foundation and some pillars that we can all kind of work towards. Because I think each college has unique challenges, and so it's kind of my role to kind of oversee that, see the bigger picture here, and kind of draw those connections together and draw those connections for the senator, for the different caucus leaders, for them to be able to collaborate more effectively, and ultimately by the end of the term accomplish some of those goals that they've set out to do.
Yeah, I mean 100%. Christian, how does that kind of, on your end, how does that system kind of work?
No, for me necessarily, it's working alongside with Andrew. It has been really nice because he has allowed us to really provide what he talked about as giving us that guide, and that's something that's kind of helped me, and probably it's helped some of the other caucus leaders as well, be able to find that path, and what do we want this year to look like with the with the senators that we get to work alongside with, and how can we make a difference within SGA but also within our colleges that we can continue to give back. For him, I remember when we started off, he sent us all an action framework of, here's what do you want to work on this year? What do you want to continue to provide? And I think that that's been very helpful because it's allowed us to be really actionable. And the SMART goals, I missed the first meeting. I can't lie. But
and he's fired.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But review, like looking over that and being able to set our own SMART goals within our caucus, it's been an actionable framework that we can keep on a schedule and continue to work on getting those action items all finished up, and going to those meetings has been very helpful as a reminder. You might steer off path, but how can we get back on it? Yeah,
making sure that your caucus still relates to the wider goals of the university and the SGA. That's an incredibly important task, and having structure in those things and making sure everything is facilitated is incredibly important, just to keep things as smooth as possible, and it keeps the campus united in a lot of ways, right? Mm-hmm. I want to go into a little bit more. Andrew, you said that your position slightly consolidated the role of treasurer, yes? Mm-hmm. Has that played into how does that play into the wider kind of role between all the caucuses here and play into the Senate? Or how does it affect your job?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely adds more workload to my job. Sure. So, signing off on a lot of documents and being the go-to person. And so the go-to person for financial stuff. And I think that, to me, has been a really big learning opportunity for me because, I've been in the organization for so many years now. And still, there's still so much more to learn about, the finances of SGA and how we budget and how we allocate stuff. And so it's cool to work closely with our Student Services Fee Committee chair to learn more about that process, and as we go into review, student government is up for review this year. And so what that means is our contract will be an opportunity for us to look at, how much money does each committee get and all of that. And so as a part of that, I do the presentation on behalf of SGA, right? And so to me, that was like, okay, that's something completely new. And so that's something that is added on for me to do, but it's a cool, again, learning opportunity for me to do that.
And who are you presenting to?
Presenting to the committee. So I'll be presenting to fellow student senators that serve with us on the Student Services Fee Committee, making an argument basically as to why I'm recommending X, Y, and Z for SGA.
Wow. I mean, that's big public speaking. I'm in public speaking right now. That's big public speaking right there. That's pretty crazy. And that's awesome. So but again, that's a very important role in facilitating both treasurer duties as well as keeping everything well in the caucus as well. Christian, I want to turn back to you. I feel like a lot of the colleges within the College of Kansas State do not realize how much the caucus of their college can affect things in the SGA. Maybe what is something a message you could give to agriculture students or students of the wider area of how maybe you can help them?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that this is something that really we need to continue to be more well known in. Is come to your senators, come to your caucus leaders, just come to Senate in general. Voice what you think should be done. Voice some problems, because that's what we're here for. We want to make a difference, and we want to be, at the end of the day, we're there to help the students continue to succeed in any way, in any capacity that we possibly can. And so, being a positive voice, being out there, and really, there's nothing against, saying something, because at the end of the day, someone else is probably thinking it too. And so how can we continue to, give back to our students and continue to work in a positive manner within the Senate chambers, and, also just even, voicing your opinion out on campus and, being that light for others.
Yeah, 100%. And what do these Senate meetings look like? Give me a window into the average meeting. Andrew, you want to take this one?
Yeah, well, typically they usually last about, what? Yesterday was 2 hours?
Yes, it's about
Ooh,
2 hours.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Typically, usually we don't have big business to do it, like quick, it runs quicker. But we basically run down. We have speakers come in to talk about what they're doing at the university. So yesterday we had Eric Kale, director of the student union, come in to chat with Student Senate to talk about the new soda bar that they're looking to open up in the union.
Slow down.
Oh,
New soda bar.
yeah,
Are we allowed to hear
yeah.
more about this?
I don't know. I think he made it public yesterday. So
Okay. Wait. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get back into the meeting in a second. Go in on the soda bar. I love a good soda bar.
So there's I know big dirty sodas are a big thing now, and I haven't understood the fad yet. But like,
Wait, you said big what or
a big fad.
Well, like what is that? Dirty soda?
Dirty soda.
What is that?
So like Dr. Pepper with like pickle juice or whatever, like
Slow. Whoa.
Well, like
Oh,
it's like you add a bunch of like syrups and stuff into your soda, and like
Okay.
you know what I'm
I
talking
get
about?
that. Oh
Like,
yeah, I've done that.
yeah, and so like that's a big thing, and so the spot next to Chick-fil-A in the Union has been empty for a little bit.
Mhm.
That's where this new Willie soda bar is going to be run through, and so I think it's in an in-house business to give students more options, basically.
Oh yeah.
It's really cool. If any of the students are interested, reach out to Director Eric Kale. I'm sure he'd be happy to provide more information.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going crazy at that soda bar. There's a soda bar in Arizona I am obsessed with.
Like
But I
soda
can only go
bars?
like once a year. I'm a big soda bar guy. I know, it just makes soda better, Why not? Soda cocktails, why not? Anyways, back to the Senate meeting.
So we had him come in and present that big, exciting news. We also had Samantha Boniface come in and talk, Aggie Con Jr., talk about the Flinchbaugh Fellowship, and then basically run down. We have we oversee, allocations we approve. We hear reports from committee chairs, directors, and then we also and then we have a big section called final action. So each bill that goes through Senate has a 2-week process, traditionally. Sometimes that could be a little bit more ambiguous. And so this week we had a bunch of rework come in to Student Senate, changing, funding regulations to funding statutes as to how our committees are funded. And then we also had a bill that came in that was going to reduce our Senate seats from 60 to 40 and then amended to 50. And so, a lot of those things students are really passionate about those issues, and so there's a lot of debate. And that's why, typically Senate lasts a little bit longer, is because we have a lot of students go up there and, share their opinions, and then we all vote. And that's always the fun part. And then we have introduction to legislation, second open period, which is basically when student senators can go up and speak, say whatever they want, advertise their fundraiser and whatnot, and then we close out for the night. So that's typically on a week-to-week basis what goes on. And we have SGA Senate recaps every week now also as well. So that's on Instagram. If people are really interested about the actual work that we're doing, they can always look those up.
Plug that Instagram.
Yeah, I think it's like KSU SGA.
Yeah, I think so.
There we go.
Yeah,
There we go. Always, you got to plug. Any chance you get, you got to plug. Boom. We're hanging out. Andrew Lee, Christian Pena, Jimmy Kaufman, hanging out on a World College Radio Day. Coming up, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Andrew and Christian as people, how they got involved with SGA. Coming up on the SGA Weekly Update on Wildcat 91.9, You Belong. Hanging out on this beautiful Friday, October 3rd, 2025, on the SGA Weekly Update on Wildcat 91.9, You Belong. World College Radio Day, Jimmy Kaufman, radio host, coming at you with Andrew Lee, the pro tempore of the K-State University Student Senate, and Christian Pena, College of Agriculture Senate Caucus Leader. Now, we just spent about 20 minutes talking about what you guys do on the day-to-day, how you interact with students, how you can affect the wider student base, right, all these things. I want to get a little bit more into you, talk about your personal past, and learn a little bit more about how you guys got involved with SGA. So, Andrew, give me your life story. I'm kidding. Let's start. How did you, Andrew, how did you come to Kansas State University?
Yeah, I mean, originally grew up in Wichita. My parents were Vietnamese refugees, and so I grew up in a pretty diverse household, a pretty diverse community, and I went to Wichita Public School, Wichita Southeast High, if anyone went to Southeast.
Oh, shout out.
Yeah, not many folks from 259 up at K-State, so it's rare to see them here. But, growing up, I was like, I always wanted to do bigger and better things, and I had the opportunity to, compared to all my siblings, like, relatively really good grades. Like, I was valedictorian in my class, and I had I had the opportunity, with scholarship and all that. I was like, I could go other places that isn't just Wichita State.
I will say, if you were valedictorian of your class, I don't think it's relatively good grades anymore. I think you reached like a new echelon of grades. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, valedictorian 600 folks. It's really cool.
Okay.
600.
Yeah, I went to 6A high school. So,
Whoa.
yeah,
I mean, I went to LA the South, and we only had like 450. And I thought our graduation was long. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Anyways, go on.
But yeah, my dad was not a big fan of me going to K-State.
Whoa.
I remember the conversation I had. I remember we were all crying, like sitting at our dinner table, because like all my siblings went to Wichita State, wanted me to stay home, close to home. But the thing I look back on, reflecting on now, it's like, seeing all my friends back home, they all either ended up going to Butler or Wichita State, and you live in this bubble still. The friend groups are still the same. They all just kind of get bigger because everyone kind of knows each other down there. It's kind of like a small town in a way, and so it's nice. I said full send, and I said let's go to K-State. Like, I love K-State's campus community and all that, and then eventually found love with the marching band. I'm in the marching band here at K-State, and my band director worked under Dr. Trace for the longest time, and all the things kind of worked out, and my dad was finally convinced. He was like, do whatever you need to do. Like, I'll support you regardless. And so I was, looking back, 3 years later, like, I think I've made one of the best decisions of my life to end up going to K-State, and the endless amount of opportunities and people that I've met here, like Christian, that have been so formative in my life, and it really set me up for success. I think is the reason why I'm here now.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so hard to take that leap of faith, right? Jump out of, because growing up outside of Kansas City, I was kind of in my own pond. I was comfortable. I'm like, I could, just go to a trade school, or I could just go into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
That was my idea out of high school. I'm like, I'm going into real estate. Let's do it. Let's sell houses.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came time, I was like, let's go to college. Right? So it's always a tough decision to make, but making that decision can truly change your life. And how has K-State, more than just SGA, impacted you personally?
Yeah, I mean, to build off on my last point too, is like, a lot of the conversations I had with folks in my life at the time, my old boss, and even my dad, they're like, you don't want to make a decision that you're going to resent someone else for, because in my dad's words, like, you live your own life, and like, you're the captain of your own ship. Like, you should be able to, you need to think about yourself sometimes, and that's important for you. But fast forward to like how K-State has been impactful in me is like, again, I talk about opportunity, right? To be in the marching band, to be a part of the traditions here at K-State. I think it's super cool, like, getting to play the Wabash Cannonball, tradition, that, old band members from 1970s have also played, right? And so getting to share that shared history with folks, I think is super exciting. But again, opportunities, the Flint-Mafoo and Ag Policy Fellowship is what introduced me to more of the College of Ag folks, to Christian more, has really built up my own skills and, my own personal connections. And, there's so many K-Staters out there in the world doing really great things. And so, K-State presents a unique opportunity for every student to kind of find those folks and to engage with them in a better way. And honestly, looking back, like, again, K-State has transformed me to be a better leader, to be a better student, and to be a better person overall. And I think those are three important things to have going on in the future. And I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be, where I'll end up in the future without my K-State education.
Yeah, 100%. And I love what you said about getting to be involved in the history by like playing stuff like the Wabash Cannonball. By the way, is that your favorite to perform?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Is Wabash? Which instrument are you?
I'm a trumpet player.
Trumpet, big time. That's the bravado in a lot of ways. That's the bravado in the band industry. But here at Wildcat 91.9, there's a spray painted, not spray painted, it's just a painted part of the wall just down the hallway here on the third floor of McCain Auditorium that says KSDB 92, and that's when they moved from Nichols Gym. Mm-hmm. But little things like that in history, and then I see our new sign, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's my like little stamp, you know what I mean? The new logo. Wow, it's crazy. So it's crazy to be a part of that history. And Christian, I want to hear your perspective, how you got involved. Was K-State always the first option, even though it ended up being the last?
Yeah, so I will never forget, coming to K-State. This was by no means where I was first going to come.
Really?
I was going to stick with the comfortable option. I was going to go to JUCO, live about 30 miles from home, and, I was going to commute back and forth to school every day. And I remember going on 2 campus tours, and on my way home from my second tour, I remember I looked over at my mom, and I was like, this isn't going to work. And, she was like, what do you mean it's not going to work? Now, keep in mind, we're like end of October. Like, there's no way. She's like, there's no way you're going to get accepted into K-State before, the deadline. And I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Let me cook.
Yeah, let me cook on this one. I promise. And I just looked over and I was like, I think K-State's my only option right now. I remember coming here, from the time I was 5. I'll never forget my first K-State game. Like, it was freezing cold and it was snowing. It was raining. Like, it was just all the things. And I'll never forget that time. And I think that growing up, coming to football games, watching my sister graduate from here and seeing the time that she had, there really was not another option for me. And K-State really did provide everything that I wanted and everything that I saw myself wanting to be, when I was in college. And the path to here was not ever a second-guessing option. As soon as I decided this was the right place.
It was boom. We're going full for it. What was that the JUCO options you were looking at? Like what was the differences, I guess, that you saw that K-State had?
For me, when I remember walking across the JUCO campus, and it was seeing people that I'd already seen on a daily basis before. And not that it's bad by any means, but I wanted to really expand what my inner circle looked like at the time. Really invest in the people around me. There's always going to be those people at home who are always going to be able to root for me, and I, not to discredit anyone, everyone who at home has helped lead me to the path that I am now, and I'm forever grateful for that. But I really wanted to step out of my comfort zone and really dive deep into what K-State meant and what my career path was going to look like, after college. And I think that at the time I was a little bit confused, but right now, sitting here, there was no doubt in my mind that this was the right decision. And later on, in kind of that decision-making process of K-State, I decided that I was going to run to be a state officer for FFA. And being here on campus and being a part of that has truly been an experience like no other. And that's really what led me here to SGA is, the call to serve at a different capacity than just being a student on a daily basis. So that's kind of, where I'm at now, and I'm thankful for it because I've met people like Andrew Lee and so many more, through SGA and through other student orgs here at Kansas State.
Yeah. And I love both of your answers about your journey was not wanting to stay in the same pool. Because same pool for me would be either Johnson County Community College, which is about, 20-minute drive, or KU. KU was, 40 minutes west. But, my dad went here, my grandpa worked here, and also was a student here. Like, my family was so ingrained in Manhattan, I had to go. Now, Christian, you said something as well that was very interesting. The call to serve. What does that sound like? What is the call to serve?
I think that this looks different for everyone. And really, for me, the call to serve was how can we continue to enhance what our university looks like and continue to provide opportunity for past, present, and future K-Staters. And I think that's just something that's really, really important for all of us here is we always want to continue to better what the university does and continue to really expand on the experiences that us college students get to have. And I have looked back at my time here at K-State, and I've got some excellent opportunities that have been life-changing, and why not continue to give those opportunities and continue to expand upon what we're doing here at K-State to more people and really advocate what the K-State family is all about. Bring people in and be a part of the mission that we get to be here as the first land-grant institution.
Of course, that's important. First land-grant. Everyone remember that. Everyone remember that. Okay, everyone write that down. We were the first land-grant institution. I want to go, if you wouldn't mind answering this, what was your call to serve? What was the moment you were like, I got to serve?
I think my moment was, I was looking back, I had, come out of my state office year, coming into my sophomore year at K-State, and honestly, I didn't feel like I was, fulfilling my full potential, and I didn't feel like, what I was doing necessarily, I don't want to say mattered, but that's kind of how it felt at that time. I was in a slump. And how can I continue to get involved and make a difference? And that was something that I felt all throughout my freshman year, getting to work with students, and how can we continue to work with students and work with industry representatives in any capacity. And I think that's really where my call came from, is as a freshman, the people who invested in me, how can I help invest in others around me as well.
That's awesome. That's cool. If I had an air horn, I'd play it right now, just so you know. Andrew, did you have a call to serve? Did you have a specific moment like that?
Yeah, I'd be called to serve in life. I think I'm a political science major, and I really value the impact that public policy has on people's lives. And growing up, my dad always instilled the values in me. I think one of the most inspiring things is, to see someone that's gone through so much in his life, to live through a war, through most of his childhood, to come here on a boat, basically, like literally come here on a boat. And, for that fact that he could sit back, laugh, and also want to give back to others. And he kept growing up, he's always told me, like, no matter where you are in life, like, you need to find a way to be able to give to others what you have and that others don't, right? To share with underprivileged folks. And so that's always been a value that's been instilled in me. And it really, for me, it wasn't until like my 8th grade year when one of my teachers left a note in my locker when I was about to move on to high school, and she was like, "You made a long-lasting impact here at the school that I was at, and no one will forget the legacy that you've left, and never stop building a legacy." And so for me, that's always been kind of a motivating factor in why I choose to serve. Whether that was student government in high school, whether it's local government now, and whether that is student governing association here at K-State. There's a saying in the marching band, lib tiffy, right? Leave it better than you found it. And so how do we, as an organization, leave things better than we found it here at K-State for the next generation of folks?
What was the you said what was
lib
it?
tiffy.
Lib tiffy.
Lib tiffy.
Because I know leave it better than you found it. That is a way better way to say it.
It's a faster way of saying it.
That's the name of the episode today. Lib tiffy. All right? Lib tiffy. Remember that. But no, that's an incredible answer, and having those virtues bestowed to you at an early age is so important, right? Having guiding lights that then guide you to be the guiding light, right?
Yeah.
To guide you to your shine, if you will, is incredible, and that's what both of you are doing. I mean, and that's part of what's so good about SGA is you get a light there, right? You get a light, you get a voice, and you give a voice to others. How did you guys come to find that light and get in that voice? Andrew, I'll start with you. How did you get involved with SGA here at K-State?
Yeah, I kind of went through the traditional pipeline. I went to the Emerging Leaders Program, showed up to the classes. Andrew Navarro, Jacob Hoppin were our intern coordinators. It's funny enough to also thinking about now our Emerging Leaders class, our intern class back then. We're all in leadership positions now in SGA. Whether that be, Evelyn and I were in the same class, and now we both serve as speaker and speaker pro tem. Alondra was in the class, and now she's our chair of our community engagement committee. And so went through that traditional pipeline of the program, and then in the spring semester was appointed to serve to fill a vacancy in the student senate. And so that was kind of my first opportunity to serve. And also at the same time, I was serving as an at-large member of a committee at the time. And then, just slowly started getting more and more involved, building my network in there, and eventually rising up through the ranks. I was a committee chair the following year, and then eventually was elected by my peers to serve in student senate as for the College of Arts and Sciences. Max Black and I were both the 2 top vote getters every year, and then was elected to be speaker pro tempore.
Yeah. I mean, so you said you went through the traditional pipeline.
Yeah.
Where did that start?
That starts at the Emerging Leaders Program.
The Emerging Leaders Program. That's what is the Emerging Leaders Program?
Yeah, it used to be called the intern program back in the day, but basically it's an interactive program that allows interested, mainly tailored to like a sophomore, freshman, but anyone can join Emerging Leaders. If you're interested in SGA, join the Emerging Leaders Program because it kind of gives you an oversight of everything that SGA does from the executive branch, legislative branch, and judicial branches, and kind of gives you kind of a foot in to talk to folks that are already serving and learn more about it. And then eventually, the idea is, how do you run a campaign? What does that kind of look like? And so eventually preparing these folks to enter Student Governing Association.
How do you run a campaign? How have you, what does that look like for you?
Well, campaign season's always been successful for us. We've always been the top 2 vote getters. And I think some have said, I think we've have had the most votes collectively after the student body president election races. And for me, what does that mean for us is we spend a lot of time talking. We spend a lot of time advertising within, the marching band's a big voting block. That's 400 people that you can really get to vote for you.
That's important. That's important.
Yeah, so advertising there, meeting students where they are, right? feel like that's something I've been saying a lot too. But yeah, we go to meetings, go to club meetings. We've gone to different student organizational events, Max and I together, to kind of talk about what our vision is. And then social media engagement is also really important too. I think we have a pretty large following on social media for our campaign account, and so being able to utilize that, I think as long as people recognize your name, come election day, more likely than not they'll vote for you, and that's what's been successful for us.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I think I voted for you. I think I actually did.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, but it's one of the, yeah, I mean, that's, when you, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
It's a lot of moving parts. When you look back at those campaigns, what is your favorite part? What is your favorite part about getting to run one of those campaigns?
Honestly, for me, it's just getting to spend time with Max and just like go around and get to talk to students. I think that's the coolest part, because it allows me, one, to not only advertise ourselves, but also educate other students about the important work that SGA does. Because I think people are shocked every time I tell them, we allocate around 14 to 15 million student dollars, right? And so that brings some level of importance. And I think it's cool to go around campus too and be like, hear folks be like, oh, like, hey, I voted for you. And then, getting to talk to them, like, so tell me more about you. Like, I want to know more about your story here at K-State, and like, are there any issues and all that? And so over time, like, I just love having those continuous conversations over campaign season. Yeah.
I mean, that'd be fun. I think I'd get super silly with it, like, especially with social media stuff, I'd be doing everything, right? No, but and that's awesome. And campaigns, I feel like, that's got to be one of the most fun parts of it, getting to advertise yourself and get to talk to people and get the word out. It's always fun. Marketing is fun. Marketing's a good time. Christian, over to you. It's time to talk. How did you get involved with SGA?
For me, I remember my freshman year, Jack O'Malley and Paige Vogelmore. I remember that's really where my interest started for SGA. I remember watching them campaign and getting involved with Jack. I remember my freshman year summer, I met Jack in Farmhouse, and that was really kind of where the interest started. And I remember coming back sophomore year, and I met with Jack, and I was like, I want to get involved, and what does that next step look like? I wasn't a part of the Emerging Leaders program. Looking back, I wish that I would have taken advantage of that, because like what Andrew mentioned, there's a lot of different aspects that I still am probably not knowledgeable enough about. But that's really where it started for me, and I just started, really diving into what all the organizations we had here on campus looked like. And one of them was, running for Senate, and I got in all of the informational sessions and found some people who were running, and that's really where it all started for me. And with an interest to continue to go on what Senate looked like as we continued on throughout the pipeline. And I'm excited for what's next and how we can continue to really work together as a team in Senate.
Yeah. When you say that you were very interested in talking to learning about all of the different moving parts here, what about it was interesting to you, or what about it were you really wanting to get in on specifically?
I think for me, you don't realize just how much that we do. As SGA, there's a lot of different moving parts within all of the branches.
That's why we did it. That's why we have a show about it. SGA Weekly Update, shout out on Wildcat 91.9 You Belong.
Exactly. And so, no, that for me, that was really where the interest lied. Was there's so much more that happens on our campus than we get to see on an everyday basis, and getting to be a part of what the behind the scenes looks like. And it's not even necessarily what behind the scenes looks like. We're open to everyone coming and checking out what's going on and getting involved. And so really, putting that message out there for everyone to know that they have a voice and we're here to advocate for them.
Yeah, 100%. Just being a leader, the call to serve. That's the Lib Tiffy call to serve is the full episode name of the day today. Finally, for both of you, now that you've been in SGA for a while now, a couple years, if someone wanted to get started, someone wanted to get in on the ground floor, what would you guys say is the first step? Both of you, because you both have different tracks here. You did the Emerging Leaders program. Mm-hmm. Christian, you did not go for it. So what is the what you both recommend?
I think for me, SGA has a lot of opportunities to get involved in different capacities, whether it be the Emerging Leaders, whether it be serving on a committee as an at-large member. Really, for what I would recommend, right, is evaluating all the options, and finding one that fits you and fits your schedule and fits your lifestyle, right? And, I will always say I think everyone should do the Emerging Leaders Program. Whether you're going to join SGA or not, I think it's important to understand the important work that student government does, just like how our real government operates. The more knowledgeable you are, the more power you have, and the more the more agency you have in being able to shape your own life and to impact others. And so, Emerging Leaders Program will always be my go-to answer, or even just showing up to Senate on Thursdays at 7 p.m. and just getting to bask in what we do. I think that provides a lot of clarity for folks about what we do as an organization and whether you want to get involved or not.
Yeah, Christian, what would you say?
Honestly, for me, it was, I just remember my parents always telling me, just go for it with everything you got. And for me, that was really looking like, just put your foot in just put your foot in, and, you never know what's going to come out of that. And, looking back now, of course, I wish that there maybe was a little bit different path, like the Emerging Leaders Program, that I would have maybe taken an interest in. But, don't be afraid, find someone within SGA that you can talk to, and, necessarily maybe find someone who can mentor you throughout that process, and get their take on what is happening. And just don't be afraid. You're always going to gain something from an experience, and we're all lifelong learners here, so no matter what you're doing, there's always value in learning something new, and we can always take something away from whatever we may be doing.
Yeah, 100%. If you want to get involved, you got 2 different blueprints. Follow how you feel. But coming up, keep following with us. We're going to be talking about the master plan, the big time plan laid out for the next 10 to 15 years by President Richard Linton. All that and more coming up on the SGA Weekly Update on Wildcat 91.9. You belong. Having fun in Studio D in McCain Auditorium on the SGA Weekly Update on October 3rd, 2025. Wildcat 91.9, you belong. Welcome back, Jimmy Kaufman, your host. Andrew Lee, Christian Pena, here joining us today for the SGA Weekly Update. Andrew Lee, the Speaker Pro Tempore of the K-State Student Senate. Christian Pena, the College of Agriculture Senate Caucus Leader. Guys, how are we feeling, all right? We're almost an hour through. Are we good? Deep breaths, right? Taking deep breaths, having fun? Oh yeah. I'm about 90% through energy drink 1 of the day. It's a big Friday today, so might have to re-dip back in the well. But before we go, I want to talk a little bit more about one of the more important things that has been announced by Kansas State University recently, and we have talked about it with each guest that we've had. I love getting people's takes on this, especially those in SGA who are a little bit closer to having an ear on the ground on these type of things. The master plan. President Richard Linton at the State of the University. Were you guys at the State of the University?
I was, yeah.
You were? How was it?
It was really good.
It was good. You enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Do you guys have any involvement in things like this? The State of the University. Is there anything that you guys do to help with that, or is there any voice that you put to that type of thing?
Yeah, I think as Student Gardening Association, I think we are. I think we have a responsibility. I think our responsibility is to kind of show up and mingle with all the guests and kind of represent the students there. And so typically that responsibility is expected upon what we call the top 7. So the branch leaders basically are in attendance. So got to do that, eat really good food, and talk to some really good folks. I have a lot of good friends in the legislature, so it's nice to see them here in Manhattan, where on my stomping grounds, and get to chat with them there.
100%. And these stomping grounds are changing. That was over at the president's residence, if I do not mistake myself. And just across the street from that is Anderson Hall. Anderson Hall is going to get kind of a big return to form, some might say, adding porch fronts back onto Anderson Hall, as well as in front of it in Anderson Lawn. That's going to be a lot more of a bit of a concourse, a walkway, if you will, rather than just a grass lawn with a road running right through. That's all going to be more of a student walkway. Think almost Bosco Plaza-esque, I would say. I'd say it's a comparable. As well as some new 3D renderings that were just posted by Kansas State University's Instagram account, showing what the inside of Ahern Fieldhouse will look like going forward. The convention center is real, and for all intents and purposes, I think it's quite exciting. Christian, let's start with you. What are your first thoughts when you hear something like just the porch fronts on Anderson, or maybe what's happening in Ahern?
No, I think that it's a true testament of what we're doing here at K-State. We're continuing to innovate and find new ways to make sure that our students have access to excellent facilities, but also that we're continuing to update what K-State looks like and how we can continue to provide more opportunities and really be able to really listen to what the students want to have here on campus and what the next gen K-State really looks like with the master plan and going forward from here on out.
Yeah, and I'll show some pictures now. We'll pass around the iPhone of some of the things on the front of campus. Scroll through there, as well as they showed some changes to the Olathe campus. Shout out all my Olathenites. I don't think we have a name yet for like Olathe homers. But K-State has an Olathe campus as well. Big stuff's going on, but the big thing to me is the new Ahern Convention and Event Center. Yeah. The renderings there, if they all come to life, I mean, that's going to be one of the coolest buildings on campus. They've got a lot of different modern looks to it. I love that they're keeping Ahern and keeping the form of Ahern. Don't change it up too much. You can change the inside, but Ahern to me, as you Andrew said that you love the history of K-State. You love being a part of it. Ahern is one of the biggest parts of that history, if you ask me. Right. That's where K-State basketball saw a lot of its success in sports. That is where, there's the iconic photo of all of the K-Staters in the 40s with the "We Won a Fieldhouse" sign, right? There's a lot of history behind Ahern Fieldhouse. It beat out Allen. Just going to leave that there. But what does something like getting to see Ahern be reimagined feel like to you as someone who loves the history?
Yeah, I think it's a unique opportunity. I think, as I mentioned earlier, Lib Tiffy, right? Like, how do we leave?
Tiffy.
Yeah, how do this, to me, the campus master plan is the ultimate Lib Tiffy for K-State, right? We're leaving it better than being found out for future generations of K-Staters and for decades to come. And something like the Ahern Fieldhouse, I was actually really excited because, this whole time, every day, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday when we're practicing out on Memorial, we're always looking at Ahern. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going to happen to Ahern, right? When they tore down the natatorium, we didn't really know what the future looked like for that. And so it's cool to see it reimagined as an event space, especially because of its location on campus. I think the university has a unique opportunity to make this a really cool, gateway to the university, in like having Ahern Fieldhouse there, having the student union there. I think it'll be super exciting and seeing how many different guests we can bring along the campus, and not just like the Ahern Fieldhouse, but also the renovations that are happening out towards the Edge District and towards for the College of Ag folks with the Global Center for Grain and Food and whatnot, and the new rodeo places and all that. And so I think the university is in a unique time now to really reinvent what this land grant institution is, and draw on so many different folks across the world to come to K-State to host their events, to host their conferences and whatnot, and to bring more students here. Yeah,
100%. And I think a big part of that, I love what you said. First of all, natatorium getting torn down was the best thing that ever happened to World War I Memorial Field, because that view got 100 times better. Oh, yeah. I love going there and just tossing a little football, and I love just looking towards Ahern, and it looked just so more pristine when there's not just a big peninsula on the left of it, you know what I mean, for lack of a better word. Yeah. But Andrew, you brought up something important, that as the Senate caucus leader for the College of Agriculture, Christian, I want to touch on, and that's all of the changes to the College of Agriculture that are going on right now. I have a class in Dole. I walk by the soon-to-be new ag building every day. What are you excited about to see that, and then subsequently Call Hall eventually? What are you excited about for those changes?
Well, we're really excited to get Call Hall back as soon as that building is, as soon as it's all done. But that's honestly, it's life-changing for students, and what Kansas State is going to be able to do going forward. The building, and like Andrew mentioned with the Edge District, that's a huge plan that's going to continue to give back to our College of Ag, and we're going to continue to be a top leader of agricultural schools across the nation. And this is really where it all gets started, is being able to make sure that we have the facilities to continue to expand our research and innovation, and being able to continue what the legacy of what Kansas State was founded upon back in 1863. And the Global Center for Grain Science and Industry, that's really a center that our students continue to learn and be able to find new ways that we can innovate what that looks like. And going forward, like you mentioned, everybody's excited for Call Hall to come back, and how can we continue the legacy of what's already been laid within the College of Ag, and be able to truly expand on experiences for all of the students, not just in the College of Ag, but for everyone, because that building, we all know it. Every single building here on campus isn't devoted to just one thing. And, I'm excited to be able to bring more students in and see what the College of Ag is up to.
100%. And one of the things that it is up to is the Rodeo Hall. And the Rodeo Hall is one of the things I'm most excited about. I think that it's going to be incredibly cool. I don't know exactly the relationship between rodeo and agriculture, if there is one, but that is one of the changes that's being made on campus that I'm very excited about. I'm ready to go to my first rodeo. I've never been. Have you been, Christian?
Yeah, and honestly, I think you missed out. You missed out on the full Weber experience.
I know. That was a mistake. I made that mistake. I take full responsibility. But I'll be there for the new one, guys. I'm watching, okay? You also mentioned it, Call Hall. Go-to Call Hall flavors here? Andrew? Do you have a go-to?
I don't know. What's yours?
I mean, honestly, for me, it's kind of a go-to. It's Purple Pride. It's the only answer,
See,
yeah, Pride's good.
That is not the only answer. The big answer is Butter Brickle. Butterbrickle? Have you guys had Butterbrickle?
Yeah,
I will buy tubs of Butterbrickle. That's been honestly the biggest loss of my senior year is that I can't just go get it. You know what I mean? I get out of class, I look at where it is. I look at where it should be. I'm right across the street from it. And I'm like, oh, it's in there. I just can't get there.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that whenever, you graduate, your gift should be a 5-gallon bucket of it.
I know SGA, you guys got the funding. If you guys want to donate a 5-gallon bucket of Butterbrickle ice cream, I know you guys got a lot of funds to allocate. There's a little bit left in the budget. You know where to find me, okay?
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, pull some strings. But unfortunately, there are no strings left to pull on this week's SGA Weekly update. As the morning fades on October 3rd, 2025, it's time to get to the afternoon. Go to Bosco Plaza. Wildcat 91.9 will be celebrating World College Radio Day in just about T-minus 1 minute. Make sure to go, have a good time, listen to some good music, and come chat with us. We're going to be having fun on World College Radio Day. But Andrew Lee, Christian Pena, thank you guys so much for joining me on this morning. I had a great time talking with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Any last words about SGA, about Senate in general?
Follow us on Instagram.
And get involved.
Plug the Instagram one more time.
I think it's KSU SGA.
KSU SGA, you heard it here first. But for me, Jimmy Kaufman, from Andrew Lee, from Christian Pena, and from the people at Wildcat Watch, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend, and go Cats.